What's up, guys? Welcome back to Feed the Beast Interactions. I've done a fair bit between episodes, mostly just some passing of machines. And we've got a fair bit to do today, so let's get started straight away. And let's do the thing that's probably going to be the most regrettable for me first. And this is probably going to be the worst, or at least most embarrassing thing that I'm going to do for the whole episode. It's been a while since I've actually fought her with it, so let's see. I did enchant this bow up to power 6, sorry, with apotheosis. Okay, I've already lost it. Where is it? There's very little for my power 6, and I don't know what my health is because of the wither status. In case you're wondering, yes, I currently regret everything about my life. Why did I not make a pillbox for this? This is a terrible time for lag. Ow. Ow, ow, ow. Where is it? Still up here. Okay, now I can't melee it anymore, right? There's now when I have to melee it. Where is the wither that is currently firing at me? There you are. Where's my nether star? Did it burn? Are you for real? We're not going to gas tier either. This is like the worst day ever. Yeah, so I tried doing it the proper way. If I'd got the nether star, maybe I would have carried on doing it that way. So, welcome to the nether ceiling. There's my nether star and my booster card. Okay, so I said I got some stuff done in between episodes, and here it is for the most part. These are all passive systems producing... Everything here produces from chickens, actually, pretty much, apart from the only input is the brine from the thermal centrifuge downstairs. But I'm not taking any items into the ME system yet, so fluorine production is kind of halted, but I don't need a lot of this yet. Then we have hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen from the gassy chicken. We're centrifuging the brine to get salt water. Again, I'm going to need to get rid of this soon. Gives us chlorine and hydrogen mixed together for hydrochloric acid. Automated my learning chicken into an experience obelisk. I need to get into some enchanting, and it gets expensive level-wise for the high-level enchants. And this is one 8-channel setup from an ME cable. So I'm just building these in blocks of 8 channels, basically. And I have this distillation tower, which is I'm currently using for Charcoal Byproducts, which we are eventually going to get with a smog chicken. In order to make the smog chicken, we need a bucket of epoxy resin. So this is kind of what I'm working on behind the scenes at the moment. We'll go through this process completely when we automate it. So I wanted to kill the wither today, because in order to get into auto crafting, we do need a nether star. Because to make interfaces, we actually need these polylattice isometric crystals. And these come from... Pretty much, you can get raw latticite, but I'm not sure where this comes from other than the egg. This might be a planet that we haven't been to yet, that we get the vitrified sand from, but we're not there yet. In order to make the chicken, we need one of these improved nether stars. We have a dislocator that we found in a dungeon. We have the infinity reagents, and we have 2 of these left. The other way that we can get these is with Certus quartz dust and a nether star lens for 4. each nether star plate is a nether star. So ideally I want to start working on this today as well as the smog chicken. Now, in order to make this improved nether star though, we need radon, which comes from a processing chain that requires plutonium. And I don't think we actually use the plutonium, from what I can tell. You use 3 plutonium ingots in a chemical reactor and get 3 dust and radon, but you can smelt 1 dust into an ingot, so it looks like it's just a loop that will give us radon. But in order to get the plutonium dust, we need uranium. And in order to get the uranium, we actually need thorium, and then we transmute the thorium into uranium with starlight transmutation. In order to get thorium, then we need to do the Mark of the Falling Tower ritual. So this is the other thing that I want to look at today. So we will need at least a master blood orb to do this, which needs a weak blood shard. Well, I remember the best way to get weak blood shards is to kill mobs with a bound sword or bound blade. Bound blade? Yeah. And to make this, we need binding reagent and a diamond sword, which means we need to get into the Hellfire Forge. And the ingredients for this actually aren't too difficult, but we will need will, so we'll have to work on that as well. But first up, for the Hellfire Forge, it's not too difficult. Seared bricks, man steel plate, living rock slab, blood orb, and this demon metal, which we get just by throwing gold ingots into... We have a lava pool downstairs. You throw gold into this. But yeah, if you have a pool of lava that's surrounded entirely by nether bricks, I don't think there has to be one underneath. I don't have one underneath. But all 8 blocks around it have to be nether brick. You can't leave the corners off. And when you throw gold ingots in, you get these demon metal out, demon ingots. It doesn't seem to be 100%. That one just got eaten. There's our 9 demon metal, and we can just put this in the compressor to mix it in the compressor to get a block. And that will be our Hellfire Forge. Now this is powered by demonic will, which we do have. We have some in the table downstairs. It's powered by demonic will, but this form's not really that useful to work with. So what we're going to want is a tartaric gem. It's actually going to give us one for free, which is really nice of it. And we will make up a second one, so we're going to need some gold, blue dye, stained glass, and redstone. We barely call this a blood magic area at the moment. This is one of the areas I need to work on. So what we will do is we'll make 2 more of these for now. Just take this. Yeah, I thought so. So this will be the power source. And this will give us 2 of these tartaric gems. Now, whenever we pick up demonic will, it will fill one of these gems. Now, at the moment, we have to throw... I always forget what they're called. Snares. So we have to throw snares at mobs in order to get the demonic will. But if we make the sentient sword, then we don't need to worry about that. In order to make this, we just need an iron sword and a gem, which is why we made a spare one. And this gives us our sentient sword. So now when we kill mobs with the sentient sword, they will drop demonic will as if they'd been snared. I think it's night time, yeah. And because we have this petty tartaric gem in our inventory, that will fill up as we kill mobs, or as we pick up will. I just love the fact that there's now robot creepers to contend with. It really makes me enjoy life so much more. I'm using the wrong sword. We killed that and we got 1.5 will from it. So in order to make the bound blade and the catalyst in general, actually need binding reagent. And to make this, it only costs 10 will, but you need to have 400 will to start the craft. When we look at these tartaric gems, the basic holds 64, the lesser holds 256. So we need a common in order to actually do this craft. And it's the same when we get to the Demon Crystallizer. This also requires 500 minimum, so we will need a lesser tartaric gem. I mean a common one. And it will give us a lesser one once we craft a lesser one. So in order to make the lesser one, we need the petty, the diamond, lapis block, and a block of redstone, and a minimum of 60 will. And this will be our first lesser. There we go. Now what I'll do is I'll take this petty tartaric gem and I'll put it in my hand and right click it while I have the lesser in my inventory. Then now the lesser tartaric gem actually holds everything that the petty gem had before. And I will also take this extra lesser tartaric gem, which is actually full. So we'll actually put this back into the petty for now. And then we will upgrade this to the common. So in order to make the common tartaric gem, we need another diamond, block of gold, and an imbued slate. And then this should give us a common tartaric gem. Here we go. And this is what we need in order to craft this Demon Crystallizer, which we're probably not going to do right now. And we can actually automate the collection of raw will using this, so we might actually do this sooner rather than later. So now we have our over 400 will, and we can make our binding reagent. We could have done this recipe with less will, but I really don't want to use an infinity reagent and a rose gold ingot. And this actually costs more will, even though it requires less to start. And there's our binding reagent. Okay, so let's watch me get this the wrong way around as always. Sword first? No. Binding reagent first. Oh yeah, there we go. Casually lightning through my ceiling. There we go. And then we can shift and right click to activate and deactivate this. And this does cost LP from our network, from what I remember. So once again, it's night time. Let's see if we can... Oh, of course, there's creepers everywhere. And there's a weak bloodshot. Now we've also just about finished making the bucket of epoxy, so we can make our smog chicken. So I'll go through the epoxy recipe properly when we actually automate it, which will be very soon. There is our first smog chicken. If we breed it with smart chickens, then eventually we'll get another smog chicken. Okay, so I upgraded my blood altar to tier 4. This time we needed to use skystone blocks as the caps. And this is everything that we need to make our master blood orb. It takes 40 buckets and we have 51, so it should be good here. Tick accelerate this a little bit. Yeah, I just used capacity runes for the whole way around the outside, so we should be good on capacity now. Here's our master blood orb, and we'll just bind that. And we will put it in here because we need a bunch of LP in our network. This requires 500,000 LP. And currently, we have 50,000 LP. So we're 10% of the way there, but that's a long way left to go. So I'll probably just leave this. We have the mob agonizer on underneath. I'll probably just leave this on overnight, and then we'll definitely have enough. So the next thing that I want to look at is finishing our diesel production. So we have normal diesel at the moment. Normal diesel's all right. Every 1 millibucket burns for 480 EU. But if we mix it with just like a tiny little amount of tetranitromethane, so we get cetane boosted diesel, and 2 millibuckets now burns for an extra 1000 EU. So this makes our fuel like go a lot further. And then obviously we can then chemical react this with tiny parts of lithium and some liquid starlight. And this then creates infused nitrodiesel, which again, 2 millibuckets burns for 1920, so that's an extra 500 EU per 2 millibuckets. So the first step that we're going to need to do is we're going to need some of this tetranitromethane. And this is why I was setting up the smog chicken earlier. We will use it for epoxy as well, but this is what I want for now. And we're going to do this recipe where we take 1000 ethanone and 1 glowstone dust, and this gives us 2 buckets of tetranitromethane, which is enough to make what, like 100 buckets of cetane boosted diesel per 1 bucket of ethanone. And we'll get the ethanone from which way is the best way to do it? So we can heat 100 millibuckets into 100 millibuckets with acetone. Yeah, we'll just distill it at high voltage, and then a bucket of acetone is a bucket of ethanone, and then the acetone we'll get from wood vinegar, which we get from charcoal byproducts, which we get from sludge, which we get from the chicken. So I'm going to set up a fluid extractor. Yeah, fluid extractor with these smog enriched eggs on our automated line, and then I'll probably also distill it into charcoal byproducts and then put it straight into. I'll probably use the last 2 machines on this end line here, because with the fluid interface, then this uses a channel, so we actually run out of channels before we get 8 machines on it, and then we'll just pump it straight into the bottom of this. Okay, so I've set up basic automation as far as acetone. So we have the smog chicken at 10-10-10. These are going into fluid extractor, which are then being distilled into charcoal byproducts, which goes into the bottom of this. This produces us wood gas. It also produces, it's wood vinegar we're using. It also produces wood gas and wood tar, both of which we're voiding at the moment, just because I don't have a system to use them and they're free. And I'm on a server, so if I tried to store this, I would end up with so much just like by the next day probably. And then finally it goes into this distillery on circuit 4, just the wood vinegar, and this produces the acetone. And again, we're just holding 100 buckets of it in the system. Now the way we're actually handling fluids at the moment is they all have their own drive. We're aiming to store about 100 buckets at the moment, and that leaves us so much extra space on each drive. So I'm going to stick to this for now, just because we're probably going to increase the amount of each that we store, and also we're going to start getting things like oxygen, nitrogen, more hydrogen as byproducts. So I want to give those plenty of room, but we may end up putting these on multiple items on one drive further down the line. I'm not sure. I think we're going to end it there for today's episode. Getting all the blood magic done took quite a while, so I don't really have any time left to record. But we got quite a lot done, and we're most of the way to being able to produce the best diesel we're going to be able to for quite some time. Blood magic's further advanced. Next episode, I think we will focus on finishing up diesel, getting the ritual of the falling star, is it? Richard, Mark the Falling Tower ritual completed. so we can get thorium ore, and then work towards getting some more auto crafting done. And between episodes, I'll probably set up some more passive systems just to keep the resources flowing in. We do actually have all the production that we need now in order to make epoxy, so might start getting that system set up. But thanks a lot for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you've got any feedback and stuff, just leave it down in the comments. And hopefully I'll see you guys next episode. Bye-bye.